if you don't feel genuinely that you can sustain that hyped up feeling, it can actually be dysregulating to force yourself to be in that energy of like, I'm so joyful, I'm so going for it, I'm so bouncing with happiness and joy. Like that can be completely ungrounding and dysregulating and leading to crashes and burnouts, and like you have to like drink a lot of caffeine or have other stimulating stuff in order to stay hyped up. So I used to really do this to myself, even when I wanted to make videos on YouTube. Like I talked really fast. And this is also because of this low attention span epidemic thing, and just like, you know, how that makes us want to make ourselves heard on the internet. I don't know if you relate to that if you're also an online creator, but kind of like talking too fast, being overly happy and positive and bubbly, that can be such a thief of our energy without us realizing it. So I don't propose doing that. I suggest a gentler way. So for me, in these last 3 videos that I've made on YouTube, I wasn't even able to kind of like make a thumbnail or smile at the camera even. I noticed myself just like, I couldn't smile, like I couldn't bring myself to smile because I had such a bad association with that, because I was always exhausting myself making these videos in this kind of like hyped up way. And I'm naturally a really happy and joyful person. Like I'm always really playful. I'm like happy almost every day. So that joy comes natural for me anyway. So why do I need to hype myself up more? So since I've learned to kind of like contain myself, and not in a sense of like inhibiting myself from feeling joy, or you know, that's really what hype is, right? It's like we're feeling just like really joyful and excited about something. So I'm not inhibiting or putting like a damper on it, but it's more like I'm holding myself in that and containing it in a safe container energetically. And then it can flow more sustainably. And I don't have these like crashes and burns of energies where I go through my day like really energized for a few hours and then just like having to lie on the couch or something. This is how I used to live because I was dysregulated in my nervous system. So this is how my energy flowed throughout the day. And dysregulated means that there's no flow. So it's kind of like crashing and burning. You get stuck in a state for a really long time and you can't get out of it. Like you maybe feel depressed or numb, or you feel like overly excited, or you feel anxious all the time. Like you can move through these states. That's dysregulation of the nervous system. If we're regulated, we're in the flow state naturally, and we move in and out of these states easily and without effort, without even having to do anything. So I feel like there's so much misunderstanding online about nervous system regulation, and people think that regulation means doing a practice that calms you. But that's not what regulation means. Regulation is a function of the autonomic nervous system that's supposed to be there if we want to be healthy. So regulation is something that our nervous system does for us. It's like the ventral vagal branch down regulating our heartbeat or up regulating our heartbeat as needed, so that we can engage with life. And through that heartbeat, all the other functions in our life kind of get a signal of like, hey, we need to perk up, or we need to slow down, or you know, all of these organ system in our body. So when we have that online, when we can access that, and I'm pointing here because this is kind of like where the ventral vagal branch is at the front of our body, and it's running through our face. It's how we smile and have a voice that's melodic and goes up and down, and how we socialize. So co-regulation happens through this branch as well. But we need to do self-regulation as well. So if we are not able to do that, if we don't have that on board, if we are, in other words, dysregulated, we cannot soothe like automatically, like our autonomic nervous system, our automatic self-soothing kind of like doesn't kick in as well. Like we can't automatically access that in our physiology, where we calm ourselves down, where we soothe naturally. And then we have to grab a tool or a resource in order to soothe. And there's nothing wrong with grabbing a tool and a resource, but it's not what regulating means. Like we can facilitate regulating our nervous system through doing an exercise. Like definitely like listen to your binaural beats and do your breath work and do your meditation and your yoga and your like soft blanket or whatever you have that you use in order to calm yourself down. But I propose calling that calming yourself down or self-soothing. And the term regulation is more like reserved for that process of the autonomic nervous system that keeps us in the flow state, keeps us moving through all of these states throughout our day without getting stuck in anything. And just like, yeah, we notice that we come down from a trigger much more easily and faster, and without necessarily having to do anything for that. It's kind of like we notice our body and our system and our emotions and our mind just naturally calming down, and we're like, oh, I was angry like 10 seconds ago, where did that go? And it's like, oh, we're already calm and it's not an issue anymore. So that's what I've been noticing with this nervous system regulation that I restored, this function that I restored in my body. I was able to kind of like disattach from all kinds of stories that I had in my head about triggers or trauma or circumstances in my life. Like I'm already getting drained just thinking about that. The way I lived, like I was so obsessed with like shadow work and trauma healing, and I had all of these analyses of my childhood and how I was like not wired properly and etc. And it's not like these things were not true, but it's just like I approached it in the wrong way. I just got stuck in this regulation even more. I even got anxiety attacks doing way too much shadow work and like regressive like trauma recovery of the memories and like yeah, just doing all of this work to dig in my past. It made me worse actually, because there wasn't foundation building, there wasn't a baseline of regulation in my body. So all of these things dysregulated me even more. There wasn't containment, there wasn't like self-soothing. Like I was doing self-soothing all the time through all of these new age practices. Like it's literally crazy everything that I tried. I even talked to aliens, you know, as you guys probably know, because that's how you got to this channel probably. Like I made a lot of starseed content, but I was doing it all from this like forced energy of like I have to soothe myself, I have to find calm, and then also thinking like, oh, I have to hype myself up all the time and I have to like be super positive. So it's kind of like I both have like this kind of like almost toxic positivity thing on the one hand, and this toxic negativity thing on the other hand, which was the shadow work, like trauma healing habit that I had. There was never a middle ground. Like there was never a baseline of calm in my system. That there wasn't that flow state where you're just like moving through this, but underneath you're like in flow, you're like calm, and none of these peaks or dips are sticking or determining your state too much or for too long. So yeah, hype and just like this phrase of like let's go, or yeah, I don't even know how people say this. Like I've just only seen it like written on like Instagram or yeah, wherever on the online space. You can't do that. You can't hype yourself up if you're not regulated. It will just lead to crashes. And it has to do with your adrenals. It has to do with kind of like how you get energy. So do you get energy from your stress chemistry, or do you get energy from your metabolism, your metabolic energy, basically, which you get from food and like sleeping well and just being healthy and how we're supposed to get energy from the sunlight and everything, not from stress, not from adrenaline, not from cortisol, basically, and all of these stress hormones. These are only meant to be there when something happens that we have to be like more alert for, like a traffic situation or something, or whatever, So we're not supposed to be in fight flight all the time, right? But so many people are in that state because that's what dysregulation is, and we have fight, flight, and freeze in some kind of configuration in our body. Maybe the fight flight is more dominant, or the freeze is more dominant, or they kind of like interchange, but they're always both present when we're dysregulated. And it's this energy that got stuck in our body, this survival energy, basically. And that's what a trauma is. It's just survival energy that didn't get the chance to kind of roll out and regulate again. And it's still stuck there in the response. So we still brace, we still feel tension, and our body still carries that bracing and that energy. So it just keeps piling up and up and up and up if we never release it, if we never take a break, if we never just focus on how we're feeling or our environment. And this is what I learned to do, like looking around the room and just orienting to where I'm at. Like I used to be so like tunnel vision, and that's a sign of dysregulation, actually. It's like that predator gaze, the fight flight gaze. It's like we're focusing on this thing, but we're not seeing, all of the other stuff moving around. And yeah, just how we're safe, actually, so yeah, I feel like I fell a lot into like toxic positivity even without realizing it, even though I was super identified with being a shadow worker and being super authentic and real. But we can only be authentic for as much as we are aware of ourselves. So I was authentic, but I wasn't as regulated or as doing as well as I thought. I was also kind of like misinterpreting a lot about manifestation, creation, conscious living, wanting to do positive things for myself. I was too toxic in that positivity, because what was toxic about it is that I took too much of a leap. I wanted to go there, and I wanted to feel that way, and I was like forcing myself to do affirmations like really robotically. And I'm now learning like a technique to do robotic affirmations, which is really helpful, actually. Just like repeating over and over again. But I was like forcing myself to do way too big of a leap, a vibrational leap, from like something I felt despair about to like complete joy. That's toxic. That's when it gets toxic. So we need to do a gradual shift. And that's also what nervous system work is all about, which is what I learned. It's to titrate, which is doing little steps, doing little drops, so that we don't have a crash in our system. And like, yeah, like a lot of law of attraction people talk about relief and the importance of relief, and even shadow workers talk about relief. So what is that? That's like just a tiny little bit of a shift towards something that feels better. So in nervous system work, it's all about staying within our window of tolerance, staying within our capacity. And this is kind of like the window in which we can stay regulated, we can stay flowing, and we can come down from activation and get activated a little bit, but still kind of like function fully, still be completely present to that, still be able to completely soothe and contain and be present and feel and be aware without getting overwhelmed. So that's the window of tolerance, and we want to stay in that. So when we make a jump to kind of like forcing ourselves to feel joy and we're hyping ourselves up, that's dysregulating. We're getting out of that window of tolerance. We're getting out of that capacity that we have in our nervous system. And we go into like danger zone. We go into like dysregulation zone. And yeah, it's like that's where all of the all the crashes and like the panic attacks happen, and we have addictions and we have coping mechanisms in order to kind of like manage all of this. And it's like definitely keep doing your coping mechanisms, and even with addiction, like I would say, like if it's not like overtly harmful, right, like with substances or whatever, but if it's like social media, this is what I did, just going for it, doing the thing, letting it soothe you, but doing it consciously, and then feeling what happens to your body. This is actually how you grow capacity as well. So you grow that window, of tolerance, and you can tolerate more. And this constantly shifts. Like the more we bring our awareness to these kinds of things, like we orient to our room, we take little breaks throughout the day, we follow our impulses. These are all the nervous system practices that I've now integrated. And it's deceptively simple. In our fast-paced world, we tend to overlook it. But when we do that, when we constantly kind of like attune to ourselves, that's how we grow that capacity, and we can handle more, and we can have like more intense activation or triggers or even hype, right? We can have more joy, we can have more excitement, we can have more vitality and energy and activity without crashing and burning, without that dysregulating us. And we're able to be like, hey, I'm now actually feeling like it's a bit too much. Like it's fun, but I need to like just not smile and sit down, and then you can go again, whatever. So it's all about sustainability. Like, what can we sustain? We can only sustain what's in our window of tolerance, what's within our capacity. And from that, we can move, we can feel for, hey, what feels a little bit better? What feels good? Or even what feels neutral. Sometimes we're so low that we can't find anything that feels good, and we just have to focus on something that feels at least neutral. That gives us some relief, and relief feels good. So then we're there again. And then we can kind of climb back up on that ladder. So, yeah, this is how I did it. This is what I learned. And I'm super passionate about doing sustainable growth, because I'm so annoyed with like these messages of like, get out of your comfort zone and like hype yourself up and let's go. Because this is so often overlooked. Like, first, like, do you even have a comfort zone? Like, do you have a window of tolerance, or is it like a line? Like that was me. It was a line for me. I didn't have capacity. I was just like constantly exhausted. I had chronic fatigue, right? And I'm still like, I'm like at 80% of my energy. So I'm like, every day I'm building it up. And I'm like so much more vital, but with sustainable energy. And it's so good. And yeah, making that shift from like survival physiology to the flow state, it's just like, it's mind blowing. Like, for the longest time, I just couldn't talk about it without crying. Like, that's not happening anymore. So it's integrating more and more. And now I can actually speak on it and like talk about it on YouTube and like share it with you guys. But it's mind blowing, the difference that it makes. And it doesn't, like, you don't need to have like a chronic illness or chronic fatigue in order to go through a shift, or in order, like, people can be dysregulated without being chronically ill. You can also be dysregulated if you like have anxiety constantly. That's also dysregulation. Yeah, like you can look up if you feel like you're dysregulated and you have like any of this pattern that I talked about. You can just look up online like the signs of nervous system dysregulation and all of the symptoms and stuff that happen then. The shift from moving back into that flow state, or like from moving out of survival mode into flow, it is profound, it is massive, it completely shifts the whole foundation of your life. For me it took months to just like wrap my head around it, to rest, because I needed a lot of rest to build that kind of like that metabolic energy up, um, and restore all of these systems that were exhausted in my body. And yeah, I just kind of like build up sustainable energy. um, and now I feel like I can handle kind of like joy and excitement and hype, because I stay within that window of tolerance. I know the signs of when I go out of it, which is super important. And you can only get there through practicing, through attuning, through learning the language of your own nervous system. Nobody can tell you like, hey, this is too much, or you need to do more, or you need to get out of your comfort zone now. And like only you can feel that. Like if something feels like too much, it can be instant, and that's the gut feeling. That's that feeling that we all have, which we need to tap into and trust. Because we learn to override in our school system. We have to sit still for the whole day, right? Or like even if you had the most attuned parents, if you went to school, you had to override. You had to learn to override, and for hours and hours and hours a day. So this kind of like attunement, we can all use some of that, and it depends kind of on your earliest childhood and how attuned you were to, by your parents and caregivers. But what I've learned is like we don't necessarily even have to dig as much in our past, unless you're guided to, of course. In order to heal, we can just start where we are now, and we can start attuning to ourselves now, and following those impulses that we have every moment, that tell us like, hey, I need to sit a little bit differently, I need to look around the room, I need to like breathe or whatever, and not let that tension pile up and carry all of this unnecessary tension. So yeah, it's a process of slowly unwinding your system, slowly relaxing more and more. So yeah, for me, I feel like it's integrated now. I can speak on it now, and I can do it from like a feeling of fun. Like this gives me joy, and for the longest time, like this felt so dry to me. Like all of this theory about the nervous system and the window of tolerance, etc. Because it was so technical and kind of like biology stuff. Um, but now I feel like I really, because I know what it's about, like it's about me wanting to live the life that I want to live, which is a creative life where I just get to flow and do what I want and be creative all the time. Like that's literally just my thing. I want to just be an artist and create and just draw and paint and write and yeah, just go through my flow and then share it with people and share these beautiful moments of awe and joy and everything. So I've been doing that on my Substack. So there's so many like free articles. If you haven't got on to my Substack, you can find the link below. You can subscribe for free, get emails in your inbox, for my art and like blogging, old-fashioned blogging, where I share my day-to-day and I also share my like transformations and my insights, on healing and spirituality and all of that stuff. So it's kind of a mix of kind of like transformation content and like art. So and I have a paid tier, not a tier, like you can financially pledge and you get access to a course, and this is something I'm super excited about. It's called Creative Flow. It's all about how you can sustain your creativity, like your creative flow, your flow state in life, and creativity in the broadest sense. Like you don't have to paint or make music or something, but you can, like we always create our life, whether that's consciously or unconsciously. So we need to consciously create that if we want to live the life that we want, right? Instead of like habitually creating it from like mindsets that people had once that we adopted, and that's not our desire. So creative flow, it's all about tapping into your own inner wellspring, is what I call it, your own inner source, when I'm pointing here, you can see it, but it's like your lower belly. It's like that's where all of that energy is stored. And like working with that and sustaining it, holding it, containing it, and building it. So we're gonna work on supporting the kidney adrenals actually, which is such a huge key to this, and building a sustainable flow of energy. So if you've been following my Substack, you know that I'm like posting literally almost every day, and I don't have a creative block. Like I never have a lack of ideas. I always flow. I always have ideas. Like yesterday I posted 2 articles. And of course people cannot keep up with that all the time. That's like just like do like read what you want to read, right? Like there's so much content that I'm just like flowing with, and it's just all there for you to pick from what you resonate with. And like yeah, I just love like no longer like inhibiting myself and just letting it flow. And it's so easy for me to flow with my creative energy with like that, because I literally spent all my adult life to perfect this, to master this. I went to art school, got severely blocked, didn't create for like years and years, and then slowly it trickled back, and now it's a flow, and now I've built it into this thing that I can sustain, and I always have inspiration. I always know what to create. I always feel this current of energy just moving me, and just like yeah, kind of like from source, right? Like it's from this higher thing, like where ideas come from. And it's just the best feeling ever. It's what I live for, actually, to be in that flow and to create. And yeah, restoring that regulation to my nervous system is what tapped me back into this, and make me realize again that I'm in fact an artist, like through and through. Like I love creating art, I love creating, I love writing, I love going out and sketching people, I love making pictures or whatever. Like the medium doesn't even matter. So yeah, this is my thing. So if you're interested in my my course, my mini course, full of activating like videos and exercises and just insights and all of this, because there's so much more to this, all of these puzzle pieces, kind of like how to sustain that, how to tap into that. Join my Substack and then pledge, so you get access to the paid content. And in those paid posts, you can get the course, the mini course, Creative Flow. So that's how you do it. Link is below. And yeah, if you have questions, just like place a comment below or reach out on Substack or whatever, and I'll help you figure it out in case Substack is new for you. So that's what I have for you today. So keep flowing, and I hope you have a beautiful day.